verse, while he was still speaking, some came from the ruler of the synagogue's house and said, "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher anymore?" Can you imagine being Jairus at this time, and you've come to get what you believe would be certain help for your daughter who is grievously sick? Jesus said he's coming, and perhaps you're thinking, hopefully he's going to get there and he'll be able to heal my daughter and everything's going to be fine. But while you're delayed a little bit, while Jesus is dealing with this woman, you get the news your daughter has died. And how crestfallen Jairus must have been. How tempted he would have been to lose both faith and hope at this particular moment in time. But notice what happens. As soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he said to the ruler of the synagogue, "Do not be afraid, only believe." The disciples, what was their problem on the sea when the storm came up? They were afraid. They didn't have enough faith. Jesus sees the storm that's going on in the life of Jairus right now. He knows what he's going through. And he tells him, you've got to have faith. Don't be afraid. Folks, we need to trust Jesus. We need to have faith in him. In the times that we're facing right now, in dealing with our spiritual problems, in dealing with family problems, whatever it might be, we've got to have faith. We've got to have faith in Jesus. He's powerful. Believe in him. Trust in him. He'll only want to do us good. No matter what happens in our life, we can trust him. And so Jesus goes on with him. And it says in verse 37, he got to apparently the house. He permitted no one to follow except Peter, James, and John, and the brother of James. And he came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, saw a tumult, and those who wept and wailed loudly. He comes in and he says, "Why is this commotion? Why do you weep? The child is not dead, but sleeping." When the people hear this, they ridicule him. They think, "You don't know what you're talking about. This girl is dead. She's really dead." They believe her to be dead. They know her to be dead. But Jesus says, "No, she's just sleeping." One of the things we see about the difference between God and man here, to man, when a person is dead and we say they're gone. They're gone. There's no getting them back. To Jesus, somebody who's dead, they're not gone. He can bring them back as easy as you can rouse somebody out of sleep. Just by a touch, just by a word, he's going to be able to bring this girl back to life. You see the difference between looking at something from a human vantage point and looking at something from a divine vantage point. Jesus is the Son of God. He has the power of divinity within him. He knows fully what he's capable of doing. He knows that death is no match for him. The disciples didn't really know that yet, but he did. And so, as we go forward, he puts everybody out of the house, and he took the father and the mother of the child and those who were with him, those few disciples that he took, and he enters where the child is lying. And he took the child by the hand and said to her, "Talitha cumi," which is translated, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." Immediately the girl arose and walked, for she was 12 years of age, and they were overcome with great amazement. He commanded them strictly that no one should know it, and said that something should be given her to eat. Jesus, amazingly, is able to bring this little girl back to life. One of the fascinating things to me about this particular story is that this girl was 12 years old. It's only mentioned in passing, seemingly, as Mark explains why she was able to walk. She was a little girl, but she wasn't an infant, and she was old enough to walk. She's 12 years old, so she gets up and walks. That seems to be, at first, when you look at it, the point of why we're told that she's 12 years old. But you might remember that the woman with the flow of blood had that problem for 12 years. Could it be just coincidence that both of these problems have 12 years in the story? Maybe so. But it is interesting to me that Satan had created 12 years of misery for one woman, and now Jesus made her whole again. On the other hand, Satan was about to take 12 years of what no doubt was a delightful part of this family's life. Any family that has a little girl grow up from an infant to be 12 years old, there is just delight in those 12 years. It's a wonderful thing to experience and to see. A little child, a little girl, I had 2 little girls grow up, and what a precious time of life that is. And to have that marred at the age of 12 by that child's death, that would be bitterness and tragedy for the rest of the lives of those parents. And now that too is taken away. So we see Jesus' great power over the tools of Satan, sickness, death, demonic possession. All 3 of these cases of miracles that we've seen so far, Jesus is showing plainly his amazing power and his compassion for others. He commands them not to tell others about this miracle. Sometimes he does that. Sometimes he doesn't want it known more. He's already done so much on the western side of the Sea of Galilee. He really doesn't need his name spread right there any further. People are thronging him, as we saw already on this occasion. And maybe that's the reason he doesn't want them to tell. There might be other reasons. But at this point, he tells these people not to tell others about